Hi friends, Miss Kristi here, and I am so excited to be together again cooking in the kitchen. Today we are learning how to make spooky strawberries. It's almost Halloween, and with just a few ingredients, I thought this would be a festive treat to try. We're gonna have fun making this today, and I'm so glad you're here. Now, the first step to cooking and working in the kitchen is to wash our hands. We've gotta get rid of those germs. While I wash my hands with soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds, very important, let's go over the ingredients and supplies that you'll need to cook along today. The ingredients you need are about 15 strawberries, half a cup of white chocolate chips, 1 tablespoon of mini chocolate chips, and 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil, which is optional. The supplies you'll need are a cutting board, a baking sheet, small mixing bowl, liquid measuring cup, 1 tablespoon, a small butter knife, 1 spoon, 1 fork, a kitchen towel or a paper towel, and parchment paper, which is optional. Okay, great. Our hands are clean and we've gathered our ingredients and supplies, so let's get started. Now, the very first step in making these spooky strawberries is to rinse and dry the strawberries. Whenever you eat fruit and vegetables or work with them, it's always important to rinse them just to get any of the dirt off that they might have had when traveling to your store. So let's grab our strawberries. I just have mine in a little bowl here, and we're going to take the bowl that you have, the small mixing bowl that we need, and whatever your strawberries are in right now, you're just gonna dump them into the bowl, the mixing bowl, because this is where we're gonna rinse them out. So they're in here. Now we're gonna take them over to our sink and we're gonna rinse them with some cool water. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is fill this bowl up with a little bit of cool water. We just wanna have the strawberries covered. And then what I like to do is just kind of give them a little bit of a shake and a rinse in here. They're in like a little water bath, and this is just getting kind of that dirt off that might be in there from traveling from their home. And once we've kind of rinsed it around, I'm just going to hold the strawberries and dump out the water. Give it a little bit of a shake. If one happens to fall into the sink, maybe don't use that one, or rinse it off again, and then we're just gonna bring it back to our workspace. All right, our strawberries have been rinsed, we got the dirt off, and now our next step is gonna be to dry them off, because when we work with chocolate and strawberries, you don't wanna have any water on them because your chocolate won't stick to the strawberry. So it's an important step that we dry them now that they've been rinsed. So this is where you're gonna take your kitchen towel or a paper towel, and we're gonna give them a little dry. So I'm just gonna lay out my kitchen towel, and then you're just gonna take each little strawberry and just kind of dab it off. That way we don't have any water on it. We're gonna end up cutting the tops off, the green part, so it's not super important that you get that part dry. We just want to have the nice red part of the strawberry dry. Okay, great. The strawberries are dry, so the next step is going to be, we're gonna cut the tops off. So you can put your bowl to the side, we're done with that for now. And I am just going to move the strawberries off of my cutting board carefully, just so they're not in the way. Because now we're gonna cut the tops off. Before we do that, I want you to take your parchment paper if you have it. Again, it's usually optional. In this recipe, we're gonna use it to kind of catch the chocolate that we're dipping our strawberries in. So it's just helping to make it a little bit less messy. So you're gonna take your baking sheet, set it down, put your parchment paper on it if you're using it. and set it right next to you because we're gonna cut the top off the strawberry and then we're gonna place it on the baking sheet. So take your butter knife and carefully, now you can use a butter knife if you're more comfortable. You can use a little bit of a sharper knife, but this one works for me, so I'm gonna use this. And we're just gonna cut right above where the green part of the strawberry is, and then you'll set it on your baking sheet. We just wanna cut all the tops off because we don't need those to make our spooky strawberries. So cut the top off and place it on the sheet. Cut and place. All right, our strawberries are all cut. They have the tops taken off. I'm gonna put my knife to the side because you won't need that again either. And then for all the tops of your strawberries, you can just throw those away because we are not using those in this recipe. All right, our strawberries are nicely laid out on our baking sheet. That's gonna help when we dip them into our chocolate. So the next step is gonna be to melt the chocolate. Again, this recipe just has a couple ingredients. So you're gonna grab your white chocolate chips and your liquid measuring cup. We need a half a cup of white chocolate chips. And I'm actually just gonna measure them right in here because this is what we're gonna melt it in the microwave. So take your chocolate chips and you're just gonna measure out about a half a cup. If you get a little bit more, that's okay. When we dip our strawberries, if we end up running out of chocolate or have too much, we can always melt more. So it's not super important that it's exactly about a half a cup of white chocolate chips. All right, now we need to melt this. So grab your spoon and your chocolate chips that are in your liquid measuring cup, and we're gonna walk over to the microwave and start the process of getting this all melted so we can dunk them, our strawberries. All right, so we're over here at the microwave and this is where we're going to melt our chocolate. And this is how it works. I'm gonna put it in for 30 seconds and then we're gonna take it out and we're gonna stir it with our spoon, and then we put it back in for 30 seconds and stir it. And then usually it needs about one more. So we're gonna do 30 seconds of stirring this to get it nice and creamy so we can dunk our strawberries. So the first time we're gonna put them in, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. All right, first 30 seconds, so we're gonna take it out, and it's not gonna look like much has happened, but you can tell the cup's getting a little bit warm, so hold the handle if yours has a handle, and you're just gonna give it a little stir, and make sure you get the bottom, because that's where it starts to melt first. So now we're gonna put it back in for another 30 seconds. All right, the next 30 seconds is done, so we're gonna take it out and take a look at it. And this time you can really see it starting to melt, and as you stir it, it's going to melt even more. But we definitely need one more 30 seconds because this is still a bit too chunky to be able to dunk into strawberries. So give it a good stir, tap off your spoon, and we're gonna put it in for one more set of 30 seconds. Okay, so this was our last time. We're gonna give it a stir. And hopefully it gets a little bit thin. And we're gonna bring it over and we're gonna see if it's ready to start dunking our strawberries. All right, so we just melted this chocolate in our microwave for probably about 1.5 minutes total, but we were stirring it in between, and this is kind of what it should look like when it's ready to be able to dunk our strawberries. Now, in the beginning I mentioned where there was a possible 1 tablespoon of like vegetable oil as an option. That's where you're gonna use this. If you take out your chocolate and it's all melted, but it's still a little bit chunky and it's not quite smooth, you can add 1 tablespoon, so just that 1 with the TSP, 1 tablespoon of like a vegetable oil or melted butter, and you can add that right into your white chocolate, and that'll help thin it out a little bit, but you kind of want it to be this creamy consistency. And then we kind of have to work a little bit quickly because it'll start to harden. So we want to dunk the strawberries when it's still warm and it's still that thin consistency. So once our chocolate is melted, you're going to take your fork and you're just going to grab a strawberry, stick it in the top that we cut off, and then you're going to just dunk it in there. And it might get a little bit messy, but that's okay because cooking can be messy. And then you're just gonna place it on your cookie sheet, which is why the parchment paper comes in handy because a lot of this chocolate's gonna drip off of it. But you're just gonna give it a dunk. And you can kind of see how now it looks like a little ghost, right? And then we're gonna put eyes on at the end. So I'm just gonna take this chocolate and dunk the rest of these strawberries. So we're just dunking and then putting it on our baking sheet again to harden. And then after that, we will put the little eyes on and we'll talk about it. And then they'll almost be done to eat. And they are delicious. Okay, so I have dunked all 15 strawberries. And a couple things to note. If you happen to run out of white chocolate, you can always melt some more if you have extra chocolate chips laying around, or you can just not do the rest of the strawberries. So this is your creation. So if you don't have enough, totally okay. Just dunk as many strawberries as you want, and that's perfectly fine. So the next step, which is pretty much the last step, is going to be to put the little eyes on our ghost. So if I bring my strawberries over here, the white chocolate is starting to harden a little bit. So we want to get our eyes on before they're too hard. So take your mini chocolate chips, and we need about a tablespoon. It's really not super specific because we're just putting the eyes on. So I'm just going to measure out some of my chocolate chips, and I'm actually just gonna dump them right on here so I can grab a couple. And then you just take 2 little mini chocolate chips and you're going to put them on to make eyes for the ghost. I mean, it's adorable, right? So just stick them on to give them eyes. And I'm just gonna do that for the rest of them. And then we'll stick them on a plate. And that will be it. All right, and there we have it. Oh, I forgot one over here. He needs eyes too. So these turned out super cute. And some of them are a little bit messy, but that's okay, because when you work with chocolate and you're melting chocolate, you'll learn that it can be a little bit messy. And I'm totally okay with that. So I'm just going to move this to the side so that we can put them on a plate. And you can let them harden a little bit for a few minutes if you want, or if you want to try them right away. The chocolate's not too hot, so you could give them a try. You can keep them in a container in the refrigerator for a few days and they'll stay good, but I have a little plate here and I'm just gonna take a couple to get ready to eat. And there we have it, spooky strawberries. With just a couple ingredients, we were able to create this cute little festive treat. And I do hope you try this or try and make it again. And when you do, let me know how it goes. I love to hear from you. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you have any questions. You could even email me a picture. I love to see what you create, and maybe we'll even get to show it on our next episode. Now, speaking of next week, we are learning how to make mini apple pies. It's fall right now, there's a lot of apples in the store, and this is a cozy fall treat that you can learn to make all on your own. In order to cook along and make these amazing mini apple pies, these are the ingredients that you'll need to have in your kitchen for next week. 1 apple, 2 graham crackers, 2 teaspoons of maple syrup, 1 tablespoon of coconut or grapeseed oil, 1/4 teaspoon cinnamon, and 1/4 teaspoon sugar. Well, friends, our time together today is almost over. I do hope you've enjoyed making these spooky strawberries. I know I did, and I can't wait to cook together next time. But before you say goodbye to this episode, make sure to click subscribe if you haven't already. Just have to click the little picture of me in the corner. That way you don't miss next week's episode, and I'll see you then. Bye, friends.